Welcome back to the Daily Rundown. I'm Dan Morfitt. Thank you for watching Channel 7. I'm joined now by Peter Mount, CBE, and Dr. Richard Bircher from the charity Helping Uganda Schools, or HUGS. Now, HUGS brings education to young and mature students in Uganda and Rwanda. Welcome to the show.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Dan. Now, you started the charity way back in 1995. Tell us about its beginnings and how you started.
Complete accident, Dan. We didn't intend to start a charity at all, but I got talking to a visiting Catholic priest who was doing a postgraduate degree at the University of Manchester. And to earn his living, he was sort of doing a locum priest job at local parishes, including my parish in Marple Bridge. And he said to me one morning after Mass, "Look, have you got any bright ideas? I've got a bit of a problem." And we had a chat, and he said, "Look, I've got 15 young kids from the village I grew up in, very much a rural village about 4 hours out of Kampala. And he was paying for these kids to go to school, and the school was about several miles away, and the kids had to walk. So we thought, well, yeah, sure, we can help with that. We raise a bit of money, get a few people to put some money in the till, and we funded those 15 kids. And that's what we did for 2 or 3 years. When he came back to England, having got his degree and picked up his new job at university in Uganda, we had a meal together, and we asked, well, how are the kids getting on? Well, this kid was doing this, this kid was doing that. And the idea emerged, well, perhaps we could do a bit more. Perhaps if we were to lift our sights a bit and work with the local villagers, maybe they could build a school for themselves. So these, not just 15 kids could go to school, but maybe 100. Well, that school started in 1999, opened in 2002, and there's now got 500 children there. There's a primary school, a secondary school, a vocational centre.
I think Peter's doing himself down here, because Peter's always been a get up and go kind of person. He ran a hospital in central Manchester at one point, and so Peter's the person who doesn't have small ideas. So the big ideas come out of the blue very quickly. So he goes, what do we do about these children? Well, let's build a school, and let's not stop there.
What were the opportunities like before for these kids?
Next to nothing.
Well, there are schools, but you're going to visit them. I've been to many Uganda schools and Rwanda schools. 120 children in a classroom. I mean, how do you teach 120 children? Well, you don't.
You don't.
They just have to recite things, and there's no personal attention at all. So if a kid's a slow learner, forget it. They haven't got a chance.
So these scholarships now help these kids along an education journey?
Absolutely.
Well, that's part of it. But the school itself now, we have smaller classes, up to 40 in a class usually. So of course you got better attention, better results. So that first complex now at campus, of the 11,000 schools, primary schools in Uganda, it's been in the top 5% for school results every year. So that's pretty good, yeah.
It's excellent. Well done. Yeah. That's superb.
Well, we've got figures that say you've helped up to 2,000 students. By the sounds of it, it's even more. If you've got 500 kids in this school right now, what are they up to now? Do you know? Because
we do actually. Yes. Well, we'll tell you about the other schools, but there's anything about a school, because one thinks of a school as just a centre for education. There's a bit more to it than that, because we had a young volunteer out there for a year one day, a very bright young architect student from Sheffield. We gave her a job to do. We said, Rebecca, go and find out how many people are making a livelihood, directly or indirectly, because the school exists. So she interviewed everybody. She interviewed all the teachers, all the gardeners, because we have our own farms as well, of course, the builders, and we got to nearly 600 people whose livelihood, in part or in whole, came because the school was there as a centre for economic development, as well as being a school.
I think it's important to say as well that it's local people who build the schools as well, and they part fund it themselves as well.
Yeah.
But it's that glue for the community.
Oh, it's fantastic glue. It makes a village into a wonderful place to live.
Oh, yeah.
It's fantastic. It gives so much opportunity, and we've had some of our students now have just qualified as a doctor.
Yes.
That's
amazing.
Fantastic.
So you're talking rural Uganda. Your only hope really was to either work as a poorly paid job in the city or work as a farmer. And now we've got nurses and doctors coming at the end of it, and they're all staying local in Uganda as well, which is just amazing.
So not to over-egg the pudding, you're giving these kids hope and showing them what education can do to somebody's life.
Well, Nelson Mandela summed it up beautifully. He said this: education is the only solution to the problems of the world today. It doesn't guarantee to solve them, but without education, you haven't got a chance. And giving education, it liberates people, it gives people choices, and that's what it's done.
And it must be quite daunting to have the pressure of looking after all these kids, but at the same time, do they feel like you've seen them through it on a great thing?
Well, the thing for me, the charity just feeds us all the time with fantastic good news stories all the time. They're fantastic stories of the kids achieving things that you never thought they would do. And so one of the schools, for example, we've opened is a special needs school. So there's disabled kids who normally don't really have much of a future at all in Uganda actually going to school and getting education. And one of the other schools particularly was a secondary school for girls, because girls tend to go through the primary education and then get dropped. But a secondary school, and of course secondary school education for women makes a massive difference to the community. You know, it's the fabric that actually starts to change things economically. It really is.
It is. The special needs school was a classic story. It's not a big school, 125 children there. And we didn't think until about 3 years ago whether these kids would ever be able to enter what's called the UP, the Universal Primary Examinations for Primary 7 when they leave school. That's before they go off to secondary school, if they go there. But the director said she would put the children in for it. And this time 9 children entered the examination and 7 got grade 1. Now, of the 11,000 schools in Uganda, half of them, nobody got grade 1. And we got 7 out of 9 got grade 1.
This is the first special needs school in Uganda.
This is the school on the screen.
Oh, the pictures, yeah, fantastic.
This is the school here, and there's children.
And this, you know, you have these images of Uganda, of Rwanda.
Yes.
That's not the image I.
No, not
oh, no.
That's really massively positive and shows that some really important work's happening.
For me personally, living in a world now where there's an awful lot of worry and concern about other parts of the world, and there's a lot of now stay out of my country kind of going on. This is
don't
perfect.
Get involved.
Exactly. This is perfect for me because it actually just makes me feel like a global citizen. And this is where I can do the hard sell really to people out there. But if anybody would like to kind of donate to this part of this wonderful charity, we've got a project going at the moment. We've got a school in the very southern part of Uganda that quite literally has, I'll quote it, it's got half a tin shack, 1 blackboard, 180 children and 8 teachers, most of which don't get paid, but being part funded by the local village. And they want to become a proper primary school, okay? And they've approached us, and we're absolutely sure there's no dishonesty going there. It's fantastically clean and everything.
Because that's another thing.
We get around all that.
We'll come to that,
And we're now raising money, and they want 20,000 to build a school that will put those children through their primary education. 20,000 isn't a lot. And we've been raising money up to 12,500. So if anybody out there wants to donate, please go to our website, Helping Uganda Schools, and look us up, or search for me, Dr. Richard Bircher, on check me out and contact me at my practice. Love to help.
Richard's just done a 100-mile sponsored cycle from Anglesey to Manchester, and they raised
1,100 quid.
And the rest.
We're just putting the website, I believe, on the screen. So
that's good.
People, if they want to get involved, not just fundraising, but actually get involved with you as well.
Contact us through the charity, through the website, and we've had lots of people be out there volunteering. I've got a young man running a marathon for us next month. Somebody else I met today wants to do another marathon in London for us, and just when you talk to people, they'd help.
Yeah, you could run a marathon for us, Dan.
Have you seen me?
People will sponsor you.
I could hardly run for the bus. I'd like to see people sponsor that. We've had lots of people on this sofa before talking about their charities, but I've never seen somebody so enthused as you, Peter. Wow. It's a delight to see that you've, from what was, a tiny little thing in 1995, and you've grown and you've changed people's lives.
It is his life at the moment.
Well, I retired from my proper job. But the one that was one of the most exciting ones in recent time was going into Rwanda. Because I was invited to go, and somebody I knew who'd gone out there to work, would I come and see her? So I said, Rwanda. Because when you hear about Rwanda, you think genocide, 800,000 people killed, the Tutsis, the Hutus, all that terrible trouble of 1995. But I went out and she met me, and we went to see the little tiny school that she was trying to run. And you wouldn't put pigs in the rooms. They're dreadful shacks, really. So of course, naturally, the reason she invited me out with her was because she wanted me to try and built her a school like we had done for the special needs school.
Reputations carry.
Absolutely.
And that took about 3 years, and now it's a beautiful school. And one of our big trade unions helped enormously. They gave a big check from one of the big trade unions to help build that.
It must be fantastic to see these people that you started teaching who had no real hope of an education, becoming doctors, and must be quite enriching as well for teachers who have next to no budgets actually being given
or being paid, yes,
but that then would push other people into teaching. And
you could be careful there, Dan, because we don't actually pay salaries. We build the infrastructure. One thing we've learned over the years is that you mustn't do things for people. You must enable people to do things for themselves. So whereas they haven't got the money to build a school, we can do that. They've got to run it. So they've got to make it day by day. They've got to make it sustainable.
You create the spark.
Expect the spark, because otherwise, if we stop one day, we get old and die, whatever happens, it's got to keep going.
Yes. Yeah.
And that's two things come from that. One is sustainability is absolutely vital. Secondly is don't tell people what's good for them. We've made that mistake a few times.
Oh yes, and sometimes the ideas that people come up from in that part of the world are very different from what we think, but they work.
Yeah.
They work really
so
well.
we've had ideas about computerizing things, and don't ever tell people what's good for them. What do they want?
You do, so as a charity, you do the initial spark, but when it becomes a school, part of the community, it's not a charity.
Yeah,
Listen,
It's
the business. It's got to run. Yeah, that's right. So we don't put, apart from the special needs school, because of very, very small classes there, we do put some revenue money in each year to help the running costs of that. And I've got some very generous benefactors.
Richard, that website again that people can get involved with, and
helpingUgandaschools.org.
and we'll put that on the screen again.
Yeah, thank you.
Peter Mount, CBE, thank you so much for coming on. It's been an absolute pleasure meeting you.
Good, Dan.
And Dr. Richard,
Thank you very much. Thanks for the time.
coming on the sofa tonight without a guitar seems very bizarre, but thank you so
I
much.
thought I might sing about it, but that would distract from Peter.
And thank you so much for telling us about HUGS. It's been inspirational.
Thank
Good
you.
to be here, and thanks
Many
for the
thanks.
interview, Dan.
Many
Good to meet
thanks.
you.
Now, we're going to go for another break now, but please don't go away. I'll be back with Cal and Stephen, each with their something to say next on the TV soapbox. That is, the Daily Rundown.